Hey there, and welcome to episode 32 of the Know Where You Want to Go travel podcast. This is Cam D, your host. And if you happen to be watching this on video, welcome. This is our first video podcast, but for those that listen in audio, this is optimized for you. So don't worry, I'm going to try my best not to reference anything that I'm sharing today and make sure that I'm as clear as ever when it comes to the topic of the day. And today we're going to talk about safety a bit and talk about how that applies to your Caribbean vacations and how it can apply to life in general to a large degree. So for those that are watching on video, I'm going to share my screen here and get this going and get to our latest blog, or one of our latest blogs, which talks about this topic. And I want to give credit where it is due to Always All Inclusive. They created this list. They created a top 10 list, as it was, of safest Caribbean destinations in 2025. And we took that and turned it into our top 5 places to cruise in 2025. And we're going to start here with number 5. We're going to go through the top 5, which is actually there's going to be a tie for number 3. So there's no number 4 in this. And before I get into that, I think it is very, very important to be super clear about safety. I could walk out, and I live in a gated community in a very, I'm gonna say, a very nice neighborhood, and I mean that with modesty. But when I walk outside, I don't get scared, but I do look around. There's alligators, and you have to use common sense, and whether it's alligators or bad guys or bad girls or bad people, bad animals, whatever it might be, you have to use common sense anywhere you go. So if the number 1 rated destination had a 10 out of 10 score on safety, I would never encourage you to go there and put blindfolds on and walk in the middle of the night into the darkest area of the country you could find. I would never do that. You should never do that anywhere you're at. So take this with that in mind. So number 5, Antigua and Barbuda, 8.1 out of 10 composite score, very small island, regulated tourism, and fabulous, amazing calm beaches. So you get a lot of safety in there. So if you look at the safety index, what is it looking at? It's looking at a few things there. It's looking at crime, advisories from the governments, hurricane exposure, and healthcare. So it's looking at those things there that are very, very important. And safety can include calm seas. If Antigua and Barbuda is having some nice calm beaches, that's going to be a more safe environment. So safety is not always about being carjacked or robbed or assaulted. It could be safety in the water. It could be safety in a hurricane or a storm. There's a lot of places with that terminology can be applied to. So Antigua and Barbuda is going to be a place that we're going January 3rd through the 10th. If you want to join us, check out camjohntravel.com, but we'll be going there and 2 other of these countries on here as well. Speaking of, when we look at a tie for number 3, we have 2 countries, Grenada and Curacao. Grenada is a relaxed, welcoming vibe, manageable port area, and nature forward are the reasons it's a safe bet as part of this survey by Always All Inclusive. And I want to speak to that manageable port area because that's something I hear quite often from sailors is, and I get it. There's a lot of ports where I stay on the ship. If I know it's going to be a madhouse getting back on, I stay on the ship and just take advantage of the amenities while everybody's out at the port. But there are some ports that are wild. You get off the ship, you get through the main area, and it seems like it's all calm. And then all of a sudden you're just invaded by people who want to take you on a tour or do this or do that. And you have to be careful with that. And then coming back in, you don't know how the security line's going to be. You don't want to miss the ship and things like that. But Grenada gets it really, really well done. They're manageable. Their port area is very well managed and you don't have as many worries there. And then with the nature forward, it's awesome. Of course, you want to beware of wildlife in any nature forward area as it might be, or in the ocean itself, you want to be careful because, you just don't know. I mean, that's we're safety first all the time. And then the tie for number 3 there is Curacao, amazing outside the hurricane belt, walkable capital. We've walked it many times in pairs or in groups, and we keep the eyes in the back of our heads wide open because it's so very important to use my favorite words for this podcast episode, common sense. You have to use common sense anywhere, but it is such a beautiful country. If you listen to any of these podcast episodes, you know that Curacao is always at the top of our list. So it's a wonderful thing to see it is the case on this list as well. And we will be visiting there in January as well. Number two is another one of our favorites, Barbados. Stable, well-organized tourism, good medical facilities are reasons why it is a safe bet with a score of 9.2 out of 10. Wonderful country, wonderful people, highly recommended. And then we get to number one, which is going to be Aruba with a score of 9.3, just a bit ahead of Barbados there in that two spot. They have a low government advisory rating when it comes to travel risk. They're outside that hurricane zone, outside of the hurricane belt, and they have a very strong infrastructure. Aruba's also on our list for January. So we are taking a cruise out of San Juan. If you're interested in joining us, go to camjohntravel.com and contact us there. We're going to be visiting Aruba, Curacao. San Juan is our port. Antigua, our port of embarkation and disembarkation. Antigua and Barbuda. And then we're going to be going also to an amazing place, St. Martin. It's not on the top 5 here, but it is a wonderful, wonderful island. So again, I just want to make it very, very clear. I can talk about safety all day, all night, all week, all month, all year. It all comes down to common sense. Anything can happen. If you know anything about the history of Aruba in the news, you know bad things or one bad thing happened there. You know that things can happen anywhere, in your backyard, your front yard, the road in front of your house, the road across the street from your neighborhood, anywhere things can happen. But this is a good list if you're looking to build your confidence about going to cruise ports where you have less of a worry, but still keeping that mindfulness in mind. You want to be mindful in your mind all the time and see these things as they are. So again, a big shout out to Always All Inclusive. I'm going to link to them in the show notes for putting this together. I appreciate that work that they have done, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, this is a first kind of a test of a video podcast. We'll see where it goes. I'm not sure, what it's going to be like. And we have been very, very busy here at Cam John Travel over the last few months, and that's a wonderful thing for us. But I do want to keep this podcast going here with episode 32. I'd love to get to episode 40 by the end of the first quarter of 2026. So we're going to work hard on making that happen, working to get good guests on. It is hard to schedule people that stay committed to a guest spot. And it's also hard to find people that are often committed to the topics that we want to talk about, because we want to make sure that we stay stable to what's important to you. As the name of this podcast, We Know Where You Want to Go podcast. We know these things, or we reflect on some of these studies to help solidify our knowledge on these things. And we want to articulate that to you in the best way possible. So I appreciate you. Look forward to coming back with a new podcast episode soon. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Take care.